Um, the court, the regarding the lighting picture. And I don't know if we're going to feel that December 6th, I think we all read it at that. And I need a point. I don't know if you guys the length, all the length kind of been off. And he has the builders, Josh, they do credit him with being responsible to looking at the lighting needs. I will say, I did see it before the lights got turned off. It was a little bit of overkill. So we're hoping that we'll all be able to work together on that. We could have planned for it to look back. They would have been one of the ones who approved the CEO report. I feel I can follow up with the planning board chair to also ask him to look at it. Yeah. Is there anything else? Was there any other correspondence?
No.
No. Would any members of the public with them on there like to speak tonight? No? Well, then the floor is yours and we look forward to your call.
Honorable Mayor and distinguished board members, thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today. My name is Oliver Watson. I was born and raised in the Cooperstown area and currently a senior at Cooperstown High School. All my life, I've been fascinated with flags. I'm a student member in the North American Exological. The group has the international flag design. What would you like for everyone to think about? When I say Cooperstown, what image pops in your head? Now, if you were to compare your image with your neighbors, your image could very well be totally different from each other. This summer, I decided to design a unifying symbol for my hometown. I believe Cooperstown deserves to fly its own flag. Here are three main reasons why. First, a flag provides a unifying identity. A town of such rich history and cultural significance deserves an identifying symbol. As seen in the earlier exercise, the flag would aid in uniting the diverse identity groups. You may have thought of Steel Lake, James Fenimore Cooper, the National Baseball Hall of Fame, or other cultural. How can we show the totality of the percent? A flag can represent all we have to offer in one image. Secondly, a flag provides a sense of community. Of course, we have pride in our U.S. flag. And as we have seen watching the World Cup, flags are instrumental in bringing people together to support their country. Recently, city flags have also fostered this idea. For example, Washington, D.C. has designed their own flag. In the movement for representation in government, the D.C. flag brings pride in their own community. The flag is being featured on their license plate. A Cooperstown flag will be a symbol of pride in our community. Thirdly, a flag has positive economic evidence. A flag encourages further tourist engagement with the town, especially for small businesses recovering from the COVID pandemic. While I was in Chicago for a national cruise skiing tournament, the city's flag was dedicated. Chicagoans embraced their flag, and it was promoted heavily in their marketing. It was on t-shirts, it was on mugs, bumper stickers, dish towels, you name it. The Cooperstown flag can provide a great selling opportunity for local businesses to represent our town's image. Tourists will take that memorabilia to their hometowns at spring happy. Sure.
Yes.
All right, is this on? All right, so here is the reveal of my Cooperstown flag. My design for the Cooperstown flag embraces many elements of who we are. I will be revealing the flag incrementally to represent my design process. First, I wanted to include our natural topography. The beauty of the Otsego Lake and the Valley Hills drew the founding of our town. To symbolize Cooperstown at the southern tip of the lake, a white stripe points to our home base. The charge, or central symbol, comprises of 3 lines to represent our 3 major museums: the Fenimore, the Farmers Museum, and the National Baseball Hall of Fame. A symbol of a Greek column represents enlightened culture, be it literature, medicine, or history, all of which is true to Cooperstown, and it is why it is seen throughout the architecture of our village. To finish the creation of the column, I chose to represent waves lapping over a Keystone Council rock. Good flag design also encourages the viewer to see their own interpretation of what they see. Here's the final flag design. I hope from this design appeals to the citizens of and visitors to Cooperstown. I feel my flag is aesthetically appealing as a symmetrical and reversible design. The colors bring vibrance even in the winter months. Some mock-ups I made for some potential merchandise the flag can provide for businesses. I also have a flag here that shows the design in person. And we want to pass it around or sure. Cool. I think it's very thoughtful. Thank you.
Can you comment a little bit about your design process with your association with the society?
Yes, so there's a national movement to adopt city flags. And I had this vision months ago, and over the summer, I kind of wanted to actually work on it and sit down because I've just been thinking in the shower about it for a while. And I started by just having a plain piece of paper and drawing some ideas out with some colored pencils and stuff. And it really kind of came together, each part kind of fit together. So then I went on the computer and used like Adobe Photoshop and stuff like that to put elements together and make them balanced. Part of my design was that it would be symmetrical. So I wanted to make sure everything was even and mathematically sound. And then from there, just some little tweaks here and there, and then came to life over a couple of weeks. All right. In conclusion, there are many services that provide a feasible platform to adopt city flags. Other companies specialize in marketing flag merchandise. City flag programs allow residents to order their own flag at reduced rates on a custom page that maintains inventory. If accepted as the official Cooperstown flag, I will gladly provide all the vector files and color codes to aid in this process. I will also happily continue my involvement in the process, such as promoting the flag. Thank you for the opportunity to present before you.
We're great.
Okay, that was fantastic. Could we have a picture of you holding the
Yes,
flag?
of course.
We would love to put that on our Facebook page in recognition of your presentation.
Yes, sounds good.
You might want to
Why don't we have?
Yeah, truly with the flag behind
Yes.
it's like dangerous.
Thank you.
And I should let you know that we do have a flag policy in the village. And we have also several committees, and I think this would be interesting to take to community environment. Because they are kind of non-board members to get that feedback.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to be referring this to buildings committee
Great.
for further discussion. But it was a marvelous presentation. We thank you so much for, I was ready for a flag presentation, never thought about marketing materials.
Yeah, yeah,
This was just marvelous.
yeah. Thank
Comment and two questions, if I may.
Yes.
One, the comment, does anybody but besides myself see the irony in the discussion of vexillology and a town name for somebody whose name is Cooper? And I'll give you the reference later. Two, you don't, do you? No.
No.
Okay. Two, what was the cost to produce that flag?
Like $100, I believe. This is a hand sewn.
Right. Actually, I have a third question. Three, you didn't mention it, but quite consciously, you have a home plate there. Was that intentional?
This wasn't catching.
Yeah, it wasn't intentional. You didn't mention it that way. Finally, if you open, if you could show the flag, now I'm gonna give you a design critique.
Sure.
I liked everything except the way the thing on top looks like. To me, it looks like a three-cornered hat with a little patriot type below that.
Mhm.
That looks very much like the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
No, and
It's interesting.
I think that would make it would be misinterpreted that way. So that's my comments, that's my criticism.
Yeah.
Would you have?
I wonder if you had thought about whether it would be appropriate and how you might include the Haudenosaunee presence in this area prior to
Right.
the European settlement. And I wondered if you had given that any thought in your design process.
Yes, I did. It's an interesting topic, of course, because you want to acknowledge the land, of course. And I wanted to incorporate Council Rock from the beginning. I just wanted to make sure it was an appropriate recognition of,
Yeah.
of the meeting place and the discussions that were made there.
Just so you know, there's been subsequent discussions about Council Rock and its real promotion as a 19th century tourist area, but the conclusiveness of it's actually being used by Native Americans is a little more suspect. But we did just work with some iconography relative to the mural on the Chamber of Commerce. And they had begun with some iconography that we approached the Haudenosaunee
The Mohawk.
and Mohawk nations and got their feedback.
Mhm.
And we ended up changing that to a wampum bill. So that's something to think about as well.
Yes.
I would add to that, if that were to be a consideration, I think that would have to be a conversation had with.
Oh, with the, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
wait, for
Not
sure.
want to.
We have that
create-
contact. information.
Yeah,
Good.
but I definitely think that would be a really interesting, addition. I also just wanted to commend you on
Yeah.
putting together a really great presentation.
Thanks. Yeah, it's
Thoughtful design for a flag. I think it's really impressive for a young person to come up here and have this much excitement over our
yeah.
town, our village. So I hope you're proud of that.
Yeah, it's truly an honor, and I'm leaving for college next year, so I think this is such a great way to give back to the community that's so nourishingly raised me, and it's just an awesome opportunity. So thank you so much for.
Thank you. Wait, I think Joe has a
Yep.
question.
I did, again, congratulations on the fine work and.
Thank you.
Creativity. The idea of a flag has the elements of civic identity as well as your own artistic expression, and I'm wondering how you would react to some outreach to the, to involve the arts community and the other civic-minded people that it's part of the, not the critique, but the creative process. I mean, it's yours, right? That's a hard thing to let go of.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, as you heard around the table, there are so many
Right.
things that bear on identity. You
Mhm.
know, and I think what you've done is terrific, and just invite you to consider that invitation. Given the other committees we're gonna be involved with in this process of adopting.
Art done by committee is no longer art.
Like me? No, I know, that's exactly correct. That's the dilemma and the challenge and the dynamic of making a statement speak for the community.
I think it's great. I think the design is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, and as I say, I'm referring it to those two committees, so that'll occur in January, so. We'll probably be beginning to get some feedback as well.
And you'll be able to call.
Yes.
Live-
Always reach me out.
Over college ready.
Yes, very true.
Yes,
Do we have an email contact information or anything? Because I chair buildings, it's coming to my committee. And I thought,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
I have that be easily reachable if you want.
I think Jenna has his contact info,
Yeah.
right?
You do.
Yes.
Okay,
So Jenna will share it with us all.
perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Well done.
And I wanted to give like one last shout out to the Tolstons for helping me navigate this process. And thank you so much. I appreciate all your effort doing this.
Good job. Thank you all for coming to.
Yes.
As much as we love to stay, we were here for Ollie.
I know.
Can you say it as well?
Wait, say nothing yet.
I'm sorry.
You know where he's going to college.
Oliver, did you pick the school yet?
I have not, no, still waiting on the seats.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, no, that's early.
Is it?
Yeah, most,
I guess I should.
Yeah.
February.
this
No, we're
summer.
early.
That's early. Thank you.
Early decisions, December 15th.
But then you are also.
All right, so we're gonna have two public hearings opened at 7, so we will go over them then. Minutes, well, let's start with the permit application for hawking, soliciting and peddling. This is relative to the winter carnival and having a food truck, which is 20 feet, so it fits on it. It's not longer than 20 feet, because any vehicle longer than 20 feet wouldn't be allowed on a village street. Are there comments? Or questions?
I think he needs a space, we have to.
Yeah, we have to determine because where's, yeah, he is, so.
I wondered if the location, for instance, in front of the former CVS, which is currently vacant, might be
Yes.
central and not blocking a business.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I was thinking either there or on Pioneer Street adjacent to Pioneer Park, where they have some winter carnival activities, so it's adjacent. So I think either of those are a good spot. I don't particularly have a preference.
The value of that CVS site might be to draw people down the street.
Perfect.
In that direction.
I think it's brilliant.
Another point of.
Yeah.
All right. So Cindy, you want to make the motion?
You can make.
Oh,
I already made it. I made it to approve.
right, with the location designation of in front of the former CVS.
That's fine.
Yeah. All right, second by Joe, all in favor?
Aye.
Minutes, I know corrections.
There's another request for approval.
Okay,
That's on the additional.
oh, it's on the agenda line?
It's big overnight, so she really wanted to respond to my.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, that's okay, it was. It's the boardroom for an MLB seminar during classic weekend. She had tried to book all the hotels and they are obviously booked already for rooms and conference areas, so. She was hoping to have it here.
Okay, so the first one we got is the application.
Oh, yes.
Village property ballroom Dr. Sternberg on Sunday, April 2nd, from 9:30 until 2 for a seminar. The seminar is,
The philosophy of overthrowing municipal government, no. It's gonna be baseball seminar,
a baseball seminar. Okay.
of possibly special interest to the people who come.
Is it, so this is, I'm asking you this in part because I'm gonna ask this of the next applicant.
Mhm.
Is it open to the public?
Oh,
Is it-
absolutely. No charge open to the public.
With that stipulation, I will move to approve the permit application.
Motion by Cindy, second by Sydney, all in favor?
Aye.
And then the other application is to use the village property boardroom by Arnold for Reify Institute MLB, a baseball symposium seminar on May 27th, 2023.
Is that really?
Does he want the boardroom or the ballroom?
She wants the boardroom, and she explains it in her long, letter. It doesn't sound like it's going to be open to the public, she only wants 20 to 25 participants.
Yeah.
So. I didn't speak to her personally, I would market it, and then she overnighted the application today.
No. I guess the same question you just had, it's not open to the public, does that change anything?
Well, so it's the Saturday of the classic game. It's bound to be big downtown. We hope we're gonna presumably declare a special event. We may or may not do something on the streets. And this is for a small private event in our village hall, which sometimes we lock during that occasion.
That's what I was wondering.
It's Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Who was this organization then?
The right.
Right, what are they, or who are they?
I did not do my research because it came in so late, I'm sorry.
Problem, we'll do it right now.
I mean, it says that this is inaugural, so I'm not sure how much I would be able to.
Ratify means to make something more concrete or real. Okay, that's the one gonna get on
Yeah,
that.
it's in the letter
It's
here.
an independent education. Institute, I think that this is just their first seminar,
It says it's a series of seminars.
right?
Hmm. Well, we have time. I feel like we all have questions and would like a little more information here. And I see she hasn't submitted the insurance.
She wanted to wait to make sure she had a room in Cooperstown before she's getting that, she said.
Okay, well then, let's have these questions directed to Jenna to communicate with her on this. We would like to know what exactly.
There's a lot of information here.
I agree, I was scanning that as well.
I just wonder if we have a policy about private rental of the boardroom for, I mean, this isn't a public event, and we certainly have that policy related to the ballroom. We have a fee structure, people can use it for birthday parties or whatever in the public. But I don't know that we've ever done that with this space.
Yeah, so it's definitely closed. So they're charging participants?
Not that I'm aware of, doesn't say that, I'm not 100% sure.
Sounds like a meeting.
Yeah, could you find out if there's a seminar fee?
So we don't have any history to go on, they have not done this, anything like this before.
No, it's inaugural.
You say we do rent out the ballroom for private events.
There is a fee structure and the fees go up the more private things become. And charging factors into that too, right? So if I'm having a birthday party, that's different than if I'm holding a paid seminar or I'm holding a fundraiser. Those are all different types of uses according to our fee schedule.
Is there any fundamental issue with just extending the scope of that to cover this room?
I wouldn't think so, but I am concerned about that day.
The seminars, I believe they charge money for the symposium pack. I'm just on our website right now. Could we suggest that they use the ballroom instead? Could we suggest that they use the ballroom instead to make it a simpler process? Since it's not open to the public?
It seems like a more appropriate space to me.
It does than our meeting. So see if they would be interested in that.
So.
And the fee for that would be, and let them know the fee for that.
Yeah.
Which would be,
I don't remember it off the top of my
I
head.
think I just said it, the board of trustees sets a fee, it's $25 for the application, and then it says the fees schedule is set by the board of trustees, it's not on the application.
I think I like have what we did.
It's written in.
yeah,
I like the idea of having it in the ballroom.
I do too.
'Cause
I don't
then
like this
people get
public
there.
space being
Yeah,
closed. Mhm.
let me see if I can.
I can't really see anything come up here. When I go, Google her.
It's reified.
I don't think not, but I'm trying to see other things. That, this person comes up.
I actually think it would be good to reach out to the hall too. You know, is there a reason this organization? It sounds like something, I don't know what's going on there. Because we had this before, just so everyone knows, where someone wanted to get a permit from the village to be on Doubleday Field during the Hall of Fame game. Well, we essentially had rented that. I checked with the hall that this organization refused to go through our media credentialing process. That told me enough right there. And they had already kind of tried to go through the hall, but wouldn't play by the rules. Actually, we had already rented our field to the hall. So I think it might behoove us. I don't know, do you have a contact there? Or... Thank you. Yeah.
So going back to 2017, I have a draft in my 22 main folder that I think was approved, and it's a private events, whether held by an individual, nonprofit, or for-profit, $25 application fee plus $100 use fee for first 50 people.
So there you go. So that
So we can check and make sure that that was actually approved, but
Yeah.
that's what's in.
Or as Jenna said, we could set it, but I would let them know that fee structure. Is there anything else we'd like Jenna to check on?
Yeah.
And then we would then consider their application in January.
And we don't have anything in contact with the ballroom that day, do we know that?
We usually really close down the building on that.
Yeah, there's
that
nothing
day.
on the calendar for May. I thought.
Yeah, the library doesn't tend to open,
It's sort of odd that, other than her statement about what her institute is, I find nothing else about her either way online.
All right, well, we've got a way to move forward. That would be on the
That's not-
January agenda. Okay, but those were all the permit applications, right, Jenna?
Yeah, that was all.
Thank you. All right, and moving on to I know that we're for the minutes, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the November 28th meeting? With corrections
So moved.
by Matt, second by Joe, all in favor? We were all emailed the ZEO report. We were also all emailed HPARC and ZBA minutes for the month of December. The planning board meets tomorrow, so those minutes obviously were not available. Any questions or on the CEO report or anything? Nope, all right. Motion to accept the report by Sydney, second by Cindy. All in favor? Moving on to police committee.
The report's pretty thorough here, and just the answer it, so.
Make a motion to.
I make a motion to approve.
Just police,
Accept, not approve, accept. Thank you.
the police, the fire chief.
Fire hasn't had its meeting yet.
It didn't meet, it's meeting Wednesday, okay. Motion made by Cindy, second by Richard, all in favor? I do have a, question, I was wondering if you could, since the three of you who are on the, committee, want to comment on your committee meeting relative to the camera policy?
There was no blood.
We, Joe, Rich and I met, the other day for about 2 hours. We worked through the draft, which Joe had kindly marked up, and then I had marked up after his markup. We expect to bring you a new draft, at the regular January meeting. We had initially talked about, and I believe set a public hearing.
That's what I was gonna ask, so do we need to change that January public hearing we set last month?
Yeah, we should withdraw that.
Okay, so I guess do we need a motion to withdraw that?
Withdraw the January. public
Richard
hearing
makes the motion.
And put it on the following in February.
February.
Well, so my suggestion would be, let's see what everybody thinks about the revised policy.
In January.
Before we go set for a public hearing.
Yeah, I think that's a good recommendation. In January, let's see, motion made by Richard, second by Cindy, all in favor? All right, thank you. Rhonda, of course, couldn't be here, Doubleday Advisory Committee. I believe didn't meet, correct?
Correct. She said that email.
But they are working on that Atlantic contract, and it didn't feel they had it show ready to send to the village. Streets committee.
So we have your minutes for our meeting, a few updates. We have our meeting on January regarding paid parking, as well as our rates. Matt Hazard is our writer for the Charlie, asked if we could also discuss the train rates. Given the price of gas and the cost for hourly wages, we thought it was worth looking into that. We are still waiting to.
We're going to do that in County because they were doing it jointly with them.
It's the most bizarre situation that I believe the county leads the set of we have always spoken with them and sought their advice on that. We have not yet reconciled for this season with the county, in part because one of the trolleys was inspected, I believe, last week, and so it's come in. And the county is requesting reimbursement at the 2019 ridership rate, which may or may not be feasible due to continuing COVID policies. So more to come on that. We had hoped to have a 5-year, probably closer to 4-year plan for repaving for you now to think about our continuing budgeting. Unfortunately, the cost of things like asphalt has been very variable. So we want to actually numbers we knew were good before showing it to you. So on that in Cherry as well, which just couldn't get a new number before the holidays. I think everyone knows we had our tree planting. I don't know from finance if we have received an invoice for the tree. Is it inheritance a bit of reimbursement?
We would have gotten it. See it in there? Well, we can check.
I didn't
Yeah.
focus on looking for that.
I didn't do streets.
I will look again. more
your
closely.
invoices.
We need to get that out so that we can,
Yeah.
get reimbursed.
But if it isn't in our box, isn't what we clear, we have to go and solicit it from them. Is that the idea?
I know that Mitch texted them last week and asked them for it,
Oh,
so I'm hopeful that it comes in. And I'm happy to answer any additional questions you will see as we get to budgeting time regarding equipment. We have often heard from other municipalities that there is the possibility of over ours more quickly than we have been. So we tend to wear a vehicle to the ground and then we go to sell it. It's not worth very much. We've heard of other municipalities that turn things around more quickly and actually even on a new purchase because they purchase on state contract. Our suggestion this year will be to do that with the water and sewer vehicles and see how it goes in areas where we have a little bit more flexibility with funding. And if it seems to work, we definitely consider it for other equipment as well.
It's a good solution.
Two quick questions. How did the discussion go about the personnel issue about salaries?
It'll be under finance.
Okay, fine. That was in the committee. The other question is, what in the world was the letter from Charlie Hill about? What was the rationale for that argument?
Charlie sent some information that he had received, which is actually a letter to the editor from another municipality suggesting that it is more environmentally sustainable and economically efficient not to pick up leaves. It came with a post-it on the front that said, "This may not work in Cooperstown." So
It came to me and I immediately said, oh, that is street.
So agree with Mr. Hill that it
Okay. I think the area you need close is by my personal experience. So I have a compost barrel and I compost garden in the winter, but a lot of
the suggestion is actually just to mulch them in place and keep them on your lawn, which is some people are doing. We do it at our house,
But it can also lead to them.
if it's a ton of leaves, it can actually kill your grass.
Yeah, that's also.
Even if you mulch them. Okay. Any other questions on streets?
Thank you for noticing that.
Any other question on streets? Then motion to accept the streets report. By Sydney, second by Chubb, all in favor. Moving on, buildings.
Have the need proposal there, you have things. I'm gonna pay the price for it, not only response from the community department.
Yeah, so if anyone has questions from the minutes, I'm happy to answer them. But I do need to bring everyone's attention that the RFP we sent out, we got a single response from our current cleaning provider. And they did not respond to part of the RFP, which is the field as well as the Fowler Pavilion, which adds quite a bit, of course, to
It was just for the Fowler Pavilion. The resident caretaker and staff does the other bathrooms. It's in my job.
My bad. So, but there's no addition for that. So I would like to make a motion to extend this contract to May 31st, to the end of this budget, so that we can examine additional options.
That's a good suggestion.
here's-
So his proposal he put in though was for a year. We're gonna offer him the chance to, we will renew it to the end of our budget year.
We were going to inquire of him if it
Yeah.
if the board.
His proposal is actually a 3-year contract, that's,
It's a 3-year.
they've always signed 3-year with us.
So Mitch will communicate with him. then?
If the board approves of that approach, it gives us a few months to
Yep.
look at options.
All right, so is that the motion?
That is the motion.
All right, second by Sydney, all in favor? I have chatted with Mitch and the concept of hiring a seasonal worker Because obviously Powell Pavilion is just, best 5 months before, open and close.
Yeah,
And so he's going to check into that, budgeting for that, having someone specific, another seasonal, right at double that.
that
To address that.
came up in the meeting. I think that is a fine approach.
Mhm. Anything else?
I don't believe so, City. Did I miss anything?
I do want to point out, Martin and I had the opportunity to talk about windows. Because we're now to the point where we're looking at this floor. We had a very competitive bid process. Richardson took that process, and Martin and I talked about whether it might be possible to do a change order to their current bid for the upstairs windows in order to address the downstairs windows in our next budget cycle.
Start after June 1st. And you thought it was cool to say?
Yeah, same concept, almost same size windows, almost everything was the same, and it was a good competitive bid. I don't think there's any problem if you choose to treat that as a change order.
And we are working on window treatments.
Yes, we are.
All right, so all good? All right, motion to accept the leads.
Second.
By Richard, second, all in favor? Okay, so now we're at finance and personnel. And there was one item on our agenda addendum.
Just want to open the public hearings.
Oh, shoot, I was gonna do that. Thank you so much for the reminder. Not that we've got a lot of controversy here. So I will open these 2 public hearings and leave them open for 10 minutes or so in case anybody wants to comment. It is proposed local law number 9 of 2022, a local law amending chapter 270-13B, parking time limited in designated locations to specify that 15-minute parking restrictions are only in effect from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. daily. The second public hearing is for proposed local law number 10 of 2022, a local law amending chapter section 270-14G7, parking reserved in designated location / trolley bus carriage stops, remove the following language. Parking is reserved Tuesday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. from the Saturday prior to Memorial Day to Columbus Day as a horse-drawn carriage passenger boarding area on the south side of Main Street, west of Chestnut Street, in the first 2 parallel parking spaces west of the on-street angled parking. Carriage operators must have a permit for the use of village streets from the village of Cooperstown. So I will leave those open. Moving on then to finance. On our agenda addendum, as I mentioned, we were all emailed the Swinar audit report for fiscal year 2021-22. I will say at finance via Zoom, we met with a principal at Swinar, and that was Joe, Richard, and I. We had the opportunity to ask any questions. So is there any questions anybody had? If not, we would like to move for approval of the audit report for 2021-22 fiscal year.
I will second that.
Second by Joe, all in favor? All right, great. And now I'll let you go through the rest.
Thanks. So in your packet, you have the length of service award program statement as usual for the past month. We've completed our review of the bank reconciliations and invoices at our finance committee meeting on December 15. The county sales tax receipt came in tonight, and it shows a month-over-month increase October to October of approximately $4,000, and year-over-year we are now at about $31,700 increase in sales taxes, our share of county sales taxes. So that's good news. Now, there's an interesting document in your packet, the mortgage tax allocation to us, which is $19,552.13 from Otsego. Otsego and Middlefield is $1996.46 for a total of $28,548.59. I'm drawing your attention to this because we budgeted this year about $40,000 as the anticipated revenue from this tax, and we're at the halfway mark. And so we're on course to meet or exceed that. But Deb and I spoke on the 15th, and she said that we should be alert to advice or information she's getting that we've had kind of experience of surge in mortgage tax revenues, that if you look at your sheet, what we budgeted in the past years, pre-COVID years, around $25,000 as opposed to $40,000. It varied around that 24, 26. So for our purposes in preparing budgets next year, we might want to be careful, conservative about anticipating getting as much in mortgage tax allocation. We have 2 insurance invoices due, and involving changes in village equipment. We decommissioned our police vehicle, and we added our street sweeper, and the invoices there are, and I moved the payment of NFP invoice number 649670, the amount of $99.10, and invoice number 649713, the amount of $1,622.50. Less a credit of $476.30. Those numbers I've asked Deb and Jennifer to look at. The numbers on the sheets don't quite match up with what's in the statement here. It may be my misunderstanding of how that 476 was calculated. But in any event, with that technical adjustment to be made, I think we would look to pay for those.
Motion made by Joe, second by Matt, all in favor?
Aye.
And we have a bond counsel fee from Russ Hodgson for his work on the extension of the wastewater treatment plant road in the amount of $6,039.63, and I move the payment of that.
Second.
Now, if you recall, I mentioned last month that we extended our EFC financing to December 31st, and this was the fee from bond counsel to do so. So motion made by Joe, second by Matt, all in favor?
Aye.
We have 2 reimbursement requests for Tyler Thayer, one for his CDL trading mileage that totals $562.35, and then a reimbursement for an online commercial driver's license trading course in the amount of $199. I need the approval of the payment of both of those requests.
Second by Richard, all in favor?
Aye.
I think we have commended Tyler because he has just done a fabulous job and was put his nose to the grindstone and managed to get that CDL. He has signed an agreement with the village. If he leaves within 2 years, it is prorated because we also had to pay for his CDL course, which is not reflected here.
The next item is Louis Hager submitted a NYSEG bill requesting reimbursement for the electric service at Fremont Point from January to November of this year in the amount of $1,201.05. The meter for this for our service is on his property, and what we'll do is agree to pay in arrears after he pays. So that's why he's involved in this electric bill, and I moved the payment of that $1,201.05 reimbursement.
Second by Richard, all in favor?
Aye.
I should say that those of you who've been on the board know that we were to get kind of electricity restored to Green Isle. The meter has historically always been, because it runs over private utility lines to his property. The meter is separate from his other meter. It is billed as 3 Mile, but since 2020, when we restored the electricity, there was just a direct payment of that bill, and they hadn't really realized it. So we had said, as soon as you submit all the bills, we will reimburse you. We have gotten them for 2022, but you should be aware that we may also incur for parks electric usage bills from 20 and 21, if they're provided to the village.
Yeah, the judge said they haven't gotten them together to get them to us.
That's correct.
So we're turning to capital projects. We have some invoices to consider payment of for the Doubleday Field project. J&K Plumbing and Heating, there's a retainage amount of $1,800. That's the amount of money we withheld to make sure the pump list was fully executed. So I move the payment of the $800 retainage amount.
Motion by Joe, second by Richard, all in favor?
Again, for Doubleday Field, it's a pay application number 21006-000008 in the amount of $9,595. If you grab it in your packet, I need the payment of that.
Motion by Joe, second by Sydney, all in favor?
And at Doubleday Field, we have a Leviathan retainage payment to disperse in the amount of $7,985. I move the payment of that.
Motion by Joe, second by Cindy, all in favor?
And with the, this is kind of a celebratory moment, the transportation enhancement project close out the bank account. We needed to find a place to transfer the funds to, and that will be the remaining money in the account, which was village funds to begin with, will be transferred to the Doubleday improvements. For Doubleday improvements, and I move the approval of that transfer of $35,920.70.
Motion made by Joe, second by Mac, all in favor?
We have a third floor window restoration, invoice number 3428 in the amount of $374.74. I move the payment of that.
Motion by Joe, second by Mac, any favor? Yes, about that, because for a while, HKK would kind of give us a contract, and so we knew where we were on it. It says now it's just billing for like the services.
So
We have a
we do have a contract. The reason that the contract isn't listed, this is these two bills. We can talk about the windows one first, are only for reimbursables. So the way our contract reads is this figure plus reimbursables. So this is just reimbursables. It's in addition to the $10,000 figure. The one for the skylight is for a sub-consultant beyond our contracted rate when we found all of the mess that we found up on the roof. So both of these don't have that because they're outside of the
contract.
contracted.
Okay, because I know we had that issue with HKK before, and we were like,
Yeah.
we couldn't quite grab it. Okay, good, thank you.
So for
A
that
skylight.
for that skylight project, we have invoice number 3484 in the amount of $950.26. I need the payment on.
A motion made by Joe, second by Matt, all in favor?
Aye.
And we have for Doubleday Field, the third base building bleachers, the work, the contract amendment number 5. That's I take it that's been pretty thoroughly looked at in terms of the contract terms.
This contract is, as you can see, $25,000.
Yep.
And that is overseen, and that includes a potential of 6,000 subcontract with Saratoga Associates. And that is for sort of the final work relative to the bleacher installation of the wing walls.
Right.
The engineering to make sure of the coordination height, et cetera, on the wing walls. So that's what this is for.
So are they still subcontracting with Saratoga, even though the person we were working with at Saratoga is no longer at Saratoga?
I did not know that. The person that has,
I thought that was the case, maybe I misunderstood.
oh, who's the person?
Alex.
Alex isn't with Saratoga. No, our Saratoga has not changed.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's, at this point, I think we've seen those wing walls ad nauseum.
Yeah.
But they do need, minor tweaking, because it's the ramp, and now, the final bleacher design, et cetera. So that is what they'll be providing.
So in personnel, you have the overtime analysis report for November.
Finish that. and give us-
Yeah, we didn't, so you make the motion to approve the 25,000?
I
Yes.
will.
Yeah, and I'll second it, all in favor? Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. You have your overtime analysis report for November and December, and leave analysis for the same period. We have a conference and training request from Eric Phillips. And it's a certification course in the amount of $275. If we don't approve it now, the price after the turn of the year is going to be substantially higher. So I move the approval of the payment of that fee.
Second by Richard, all in favor?
And there's another more substantial sum for his training that'll occur in the next fiscal year. But I was asked to seek the approval of his taking the course in this fiscal year and now. And that sum will be $1,550.
Motion made, second by Cindy, all in favor?
And the employee reports are in the treasurer's office. They reviewed, subject to privacy considerations. And then I move the approval of the abstracts and transfers in the packet.
By Cindy, all in favor?
All right. And I believe, do we have something else in our?
Yeah,
auxiliary package here?
We got.
I just have a little bit
Yeah, we went over that. But I had something. Under personnel, I move to increase the salaries of our non-union, full-time 40-hour employees by $3.12 an hour. At the effective January 1st, 2023. Those non-union 5 positions are clerk, deputy clerk, treasurer, deputy treasurer, DPW, superintendent. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Matt. All in favor?
Oh, and I'm sorry, 312, you said.
Correct.
Okay, good. Want to make sure I wrote that down.
I think that completes what it is.
I think it does. And at this point, I'm going to close the public hearings. So is there a motion relative to proposed local law number 9 and proposed local law number?
I move local law number 9.
Second by Cindy, all in favor?
I move local law number 10.
And second by Joe, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all tonight.
Thank you. I was going as quickly as possible to make it a short December meeting for you. Have a nice holiday.
Thank you, Sarah. Slippery out there.
Grants and projects update. You basically approved tonight Delaware's $25,000 last thing to get us over the finish line. If you recall, last July, when we approved the bleacher in order to invoice and have it constructed, we also left open our contract with Bunkoff. We basically created a change order. They are still working on that contract, and I expect to have it at our January 5th meeting. You'll get it before then, but it will be approved at that time. They want to lock in by the 15th of the month, so our January 5th meeting, that is feasible. So TEP project, so great. We got that closeout letter. We have moved the funds. It's fabulous. Salt sheds, really.
Yeah, we're waiting on. Just a reminder that the intention is not to store salt in the new concrete. If anyone asks.
Yeah, and Skylight.
Skylight is complete.
Yeah, and we've submitted
We've submitted, we're waiting for
for
reimbursement.
reimbursement now. Okay. And do you want to say anything about Pioneer Island Lane?
So, you know that we have been working with Delta on this. You may have seen people out if you are in that part of town. Just squeaked in terms of getting some of the like drainage work.
Test pits.
Test pits, thank you, done before the ground froze, so that project is well.
Very exciting. All right, board reports. First board, met today.
Yes, so you will notice that there are no minutes attached to your packet, those things we had to meet today. Not much to update, we went over the caretaker position just to look into what makes sense for the upcoming season or beyond. Our current thoughts are there might be room for having a third sort of satellite caretaker that goes back and forth, which would alleviate the pressure for the residents caretakers to be there every day, and I can get back a position outline next meeting.
That's great, good suggestions. All right, anything else? That's it. All right. Motion to accept the Parks Board report
So
by Matt, second by me, and all in favor. Water and sewer.
The Water and Sewer Board has nothing particular note. I just commended to you to review on your own. The one thing was we had an unusual situation up on April Road where Mike Spotting has purchased a property that used to be the ambulance headquarters that was subdivided. And it's one of the few properties that I know of, maybe the only one that has a sewer connection, but is on wells in the village. So we're having the capability of metering him, and we've had a kind of he came in complaining of a high water bill since the purchase of property, and we're doing some research to see if we can find out the genesis of that rate, which has been in place at least in our period of record since 2014, and we're going to try to do a comparison and find a way to recommend a reduction to what the average is.
When it's determined, or it has been determined?
No, it has not been.
Yeah.
We just got some information talking to me,
Yeah.
and Carl and Mitch did some work, and we'll have it.
Yeah, thank you.
So I do the acceptance of the.
By Joe, second by Cindy, all in favor? We did have the minutes of the Watershed Supervisory Committee.
Yeah, they're here.
And any questions? They're moving forward. They are meeting. They've had some excellent meetings, and it looks like they're going to be considering a 9E plan.
That's great.
And
What is a 9?
it's a 9-element plan. It's coordinated through DEC, and hopefully there's some grant funding to support that formation of the plan, because it can be about a $200,000 cost. So just keep it in mind. New business. Authorize the award of fuel and propane bid for 2023. It was the low bid. Once again, it was Buell Fuels with a bid of $3.3397 per gallon for fuel oil and 1.599 per gallon for propane. And you can see last year's figures there. I will say that I think that's a pretty good rate right there. So is there a motion to approve the fuel bid? By Joe, second by Richard, all in favor? Moving on, village election resolution is in your packet. Is there a motion to approve the village election resolution?
I don't think that's.
By Richard, second by Cindy, all in favor? Wow,
Record.
yes.
Seriously.
So we do want to bring your attention to the upcoming meetings. We have a special board of trustee meeting January 4th at 5 p.m. And that's when we're going to discuss paid parking, trolley, and some water and sewer rates at 5 p.m. And we will have concluded one way or the other by 6:30. We'll conclude a little before, give everyone a break. And then we're gonna open the public hearing on the Averill Road housing project for their special permit. So in January, our trustee meeting, regular trustee meeting will be January 23rd with a breakfast with the board at 8 that morning. So, all right. That is it. Thank you, everyone. Have a joyous holiday season. Told you it was gonna be quick tonight.
I made it.
You made it. Yeah.
I don't know what your reference to.
We have the reference to Cooper?
Yeah.
Well, Cooper's the reference, vexology is the other reference. The character on the Big Bang Theory, Sheldon Cooper, was an amateur vexologist.
Oh.